We just had a train wreck of a game session.
Oh yeah? Did Heidi flirt with Sam the whole time again?
No, worse. I was running a political intrigue adventure.
Really? So you like pain?
No, look. We'd all just finished watching Game of Thrones, and my players all said they wanted to play an adventure or campaign like that.
There's a difference between what players say they want and what they really want.
Yeah, movies like that are fun to watch, but I'm beginning to wonder how long the campaign will last if my players continue to undermine and backstab each other.
What's going on?
Well, it's chaos, okay? In-game, Heidi, Sam, Carl, and Frank are all vying against each other. And out of character, they're all getting upset with each other.
I mean, that happens with PvP.
Sure, but this is out of hand. The level of toxicity is rising with every game session.
Sounds like unchecked, they'll probably want to kill each other eventually.
Oh, no. I will kill them all first.
Hold on, let's back up. Why are your D&D players backstabbing each other?
Because it's a political intrigue campaign, and that's politics. I mean, aren't you supposed to spend a few years trying to discredit and banish the other guy to a dungeon so that he can't win?
Sure, politics are dirty, but D&D and other games like that are group games.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Don't be obtuse. Your players should be on the same side, working towards the same goal.
But what if we want to play everyone for themselves?
Then go play a game designed for that sort of play, like Vampire the Masquerade.
Oof, no. I've heard that stuff is cutthroat and that people actually in real life hate each other.
And that's precisely why you put your D&D players on the same side and right off the bat have a frank discussion about PvP.
Yeah, I feel like if we had a clear understanding that backstabbing another faction is okay, but not each other, everyone would be way happier with the game and there'd be less friction and hurt feelings.
Exactly. Not all groups are cut out for political intrigue adventures or campaigns, and finding a group that it can work with can be really challenging.
Oh yeah, 100%. Heidi is having a hard time wrapping her head around the politics and what she should do.
Politics can be a complex and nuanced game. Heidi's the one that plays a barbarian, right?
Yeah, she loves combat. Slaughtering bad guys and getting covered in blood is what makes her day.
That's the other thing. Political intrigue campaigns thrive on social interactions and exploration activities.
Which means my players who really like combat are kind of screwed and will just be bored the entire game session.
Well, not only that, but many times resorting to combat means that the players failed in some way. So that can make it feel kind of icky even if they usually enjoy combat.
So that explains why she was flirting with Carl so much.
Wait. I thought she liked Sam.
I think she's like putting out feelers to see what sticks.
You know, Heidi might be better at politics than she gives herself credit for.
Oh yeah, I'm just waiting for her to start flirting with me because, you know, she is pretty cute.
Factions. Have we talked about factions?
I mean, I know that for politics to work, there need to be factions.
Right, you'll need at least 2 factions, but a handful of them can make things even more interesting.
I just don't know what the factions are supposed to be doing.
Remember, all political factions are after one thing: power.
Okay, cool. So they all just want to rule the country.
Whoa. Not necessarily. Power can be defined in different ways.
Yeah, it might be magical power, it might be influence, it might be economic strength.
Yeah, lots of things. But the important part is that the factions should define power the same way.
Oh, no. I'm going with economic strength.
Cool. Next, the power can't be easily shared. That means the factions will have to fight for it.
Well, yeah, because if there's no conflict, there's no game.
Precisely. And the factions vying over that power will form the core conflict in your adventure or your campaign.
Yeah, but how do I create a faction? I'm just kind of flailing around, throwing crap into ChatGPT and hoping for the best.
Every faction should have strengths and weaknesses. These can be resources they have or lack, or just about anything that rival factions can exploit.
And factions need goals too, right?
Yep. Each faction should have something they want that will help them get power.
And probably something they want to prevent that might stop them from getting power.
Yeah, you're catching on. It's almost like we planned this conversation.
I know, right?
Next, each faction should have a secret or a complication that rival factions might exploit.
Now, what if there are factions within the faction?
You can definitely do that. Not everyone in a faction wants the same thing, but it will increase the complexity of the political intrigue.
So maybe not do it on my first rodeo then.
Nah. Now, the next step is to form faction relationships.
Yeah. It's like the matrix I keep for my players.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, Heidi likes Sam and Carl. She's unfortunately neutral with me thus far, and she despises Frank.
What's wrong with Frank? I thought he was a good player.
Oh, his roleplay is off the charts, but he reeks. Like, you know, reeks.
I mean, there's one of those in every group. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so faction relationships, and then I assume I'll also need to fit my players into that matrix.
Exactly.
And I bet some factions should like the players, some maybe not, and then some neutral.
No. At the beginning, you'll want the factions to view the players favorably, or at worst, neutrally.
Wait, why?
Because the adventuring group represents a tool that the factions can use to obtain their goals.
I always knew my players were tools.
Yeah, but let's not say that publicly, huh?
Oh, for sure.
Now, the players are the central focus of the campaign. So once all this background work is done, it's time to hand the reins over to them.
Okay, but what are they supposed to do?
At a high level, the players should align themselves with one of the factions.
And then the campaign will play out with them helping that faction.
Right, but more than just that, all the factions will need to interact with the characters.
Yeah, because the opposing factions will be trying to stop the characters from helping the faction they're aligned with.
Yes, they'll form the pool from which you pull your foils and enemies for your game.
Oh, I like this. I could just like play my own little political intrigue game behind the scenes.
No, not exactly. Factions can and should take their own actions in game, but the spotlight should always be on the player characters.
So the players should be the main movers and shakers getting things done.
Yes. Furthermore, when factions do things, their actions should affect the players in some way and pull them deeper into their plots.
I still don't know what to do about combat. Heidi really likes killing things.
See, what you want to do is bake combat into some of the missions that their allied factions send them on.
Oh, so there's like some sort of NPC quest giver in the allied faction?
Yeah, that's one approach that usually works well.
Okay, so combat missions. That will help balance out all the social scenes, investigations, and spying.
Exactly. That'll make the pacing of your political intrigue adventures much better, because pacing can be a really big problem if you're not intentional about it.
Now, what information should I share with my players about the factions?
Well, think about it. In the real world, anyone who pays attention to politics knows about the basic parties, what they believe, and who they disagree with.
So I should probably share the basics, such as the faction matrix, with my players.
For sure. Just don't reveal the secrets and complications. Those are things they need to discover on their own.
And I assume players should know which factions like them and which don't.
Yes, very reasonable. I would also go over some base rules with your players.
Such as?
First, they agreed or asked to play in a political intrigue campaign. So they have a responsibility to pay attention to the complexities of that game, work with other players to navigate them, and bite the plot hooks that the GM provides.
I mean, yeah, they're gonna have to take notes. Otherwise, with something as complex as politics, they'll forget stuff between game sessions.
And also, review those notes before game sessions.
Oh, no worries. My players discuss and strategize with each other between game sessions.
That's perfect. I would also encourage them to watch or read political stories or thrillers to see what intrigue looks like. Or maybe even study the art of politics. This will improve their ability to navigate these politics in the game.
Okay, but what if all the politicking gets stale?
Sure. You can easily have the allied faction ask them to go on a more traditional adventure for them. Not everything needs to involve the other factions.
Or maybe work in some side adventures involving their backstories.
Precisely. Or just take a break from the campaign and run a D&D adjacent board game. Maybe Dungeon Drifters.
Wait, what's that?
Dungeon Drifters is a competitive dungeon exploration game where you murder monsters, plunder all the loot you can, and become the greatest drifter of all.
No. I've played games like Gloomhaven and Zombicide before. They're fun, but I can't handle an hour or longer to set up a scenario.
Oh, in Dungeon Drifters, setup takes under 10 minutes and the rules are super easy to learn. Even my little brother can play it. And you know how he is.
Okay, I mean, you just turned our DM advice conversation into a sales pitch, but it does sound interesting.
Well, if you put down a $1 reservation, you'll also get the Silk von Arachne mini and his loot drop for free when you back the Kickstarter.
Okay, fine, just take my money.
Actually, there's a link below where you can learn more.
I don't see a link. Now, if you'd like to see more of Stephanie's videos, she's the person in this video who wasn't me, click right here or at the link below. She makes cool videos about dungeon mastering and other D&D topics. Or to learn about Dungeon Drifters, my upcoming board game, click right here. And until next time, happy game mastering.